Andrew and Tristan Tate are set to make their first appearance in a Miami federal courtroom today, 2 days after the influencer brothers were arrested on a British extradition request accusing them of rape and sex trafficking. This is a fast-moving international legal story, and here is everything confirmed so far. The U.S. Marshals Service took Andrew and Tristan Tate into custody in Miami on Saturday evening. The arrest came just hours after Britain's Crown Prosecution Service announced a major expansion of its case against the brothers, bringing the total number of charges against them to 59. Andrew Tate now faces 42 charges, including rape, human trafficking, assault, and offenses involving indecent images of a child. His younger brother Tristan faces 17 charges, including rape, sexual assault, and trafficking. British prosecutors say the newly announced charges involve 4 additional alleged victims, bringing the total number of alleged victims in the case to 7. The allegations span incidents said to have occurred between 2010 and 2017 in the east of England, north of London, where the brothers grew up. Since Saturday, both men have been held in federal detention in the Miami area. Today's hearing before a federal magistrate is what is known as an initial appearance, a routine early step that typically addresses custody status and informs a defendant of the charges against them. It is not the hearing where extradition itself will be decided. That larger decision falls to a U.S. district judge, and legal observers say it could take weeks or even months to resolve, especially if the brothers contest the request, which their attorney says they intend to do. The Department of Justice has confirmed that the arrests were carried out under long-standing extradition treaties between the United States and the United Kingdom. A department spokesperson said the arrests were made in accordance with the treaties and law enforcement agreements that govern American extraditions. On the British side, Bedfordshire Police and the Crown Prosecution Service say the case followed a lengthy investigation involving both national and international law enforcement agencies. Assistant Chief Constable Karina Thomas of Bedfordshire Police said officers from the force's major crime unit worked closely with prosecutors throughout what she described as a complex inquiry. Malcolm McAfee, head of the Crown Prosecution Service's Special Crime Division, said the new charging decisions followed receipt of a further file of evidence from Bedfordshire Police. The brothers' attorney, Joseph McBride, has strongly disputed the new charges. He has called them, in his words, filth and slander, and has argued that British authorities are using the case to try to derail defamation lawsuits the Tate brothers have filed in the United States. McBride told reporters over the weekend that he is confident the extradition request will ultimately be denied, and he described the effort as a political attempt to do Britain's work on American soil. Neither Andrew nor Tristan Tate has entered a plea in the British case, and both have repeatedly denied wrongdoing throughout several years of overlapping legal proceedings. Photos and video from the moment of the arrest show federal agents taking the brothers into custody outside a venue in downtown Miami, where Andrew Tate had been scheduled to appear at a bare-knuckle boxing event that evening. The timing added to the intense public attention the case has already drawn online. To understand why this case carries so much weight, it helps to look at the brothers' broader legal history. Andrew Tate first became a public figure in the United Kingdom as a professional kickboxer and later as a contestant on the British reality show Big Brother. He and his brother Tristan built a large and controversial online following around content promoting wealth and what critics describe as extreme views on gender and male dominance. Both men were banned from multiple major social media platforms in 2022 over their content. In 2016, the brothers relocated to Romania. They were arrested there in December 2022 on charges of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized criminal group to sexually exploit women. That Romanian case has been slowed for years by legal and procedural disputes and has not yet gone to trial. The brothers were eventually allowed to leave Romania and arrived in Florida last year, a move that drew scrutiny from Florida's Attorney General, who opened his own preliminary inquiry into the brothers shortly after they landed. There have also been signs of a separate line of legal exposure inside the United States. Court filings connected to a civil defamation case the brothers filed in Florida have suggested the brothers may be the subject of a federal investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. Attorney Joseph McBride has dismissed the significance of those filings, calling them a delay tactic by opposing lawyers. No federal charges have been filed against the brothers in the United States. Today's Miami hearing effectively places the United States at the center of a legal saga that already spans 3 countries. It raises real questions about how American courts will handle a high-profile extradition request involving two dual U.S. and UK citizens accused of serious crimes committed abroad. Given the size of the brothers' online following and the seriousness of the allegations, the case is likely to draw heavy public attention well beyond the courtroom. Looking ahead, expect today's proceeding to focus mainly on procedural matters, including whether the brothers remain in federal custody while the extradition case moves forward. A more substantial hearing on the merits of the extradition request itself is expected in the coming weeks. Legal experts note that contested extradition cases, especially ones involving multiple jurisdictions, can take significantly longer to resolve than a standard criminal case. Watch for follow-up statements from the Justice Department, from the Crown Prosecution Service in Britain, and from Attorney Joseph McBride once today's hearing concludes. As of this morning, officials on both sides of the Atlantic are standing by their positions. The Department of Justice maintains that Saturday's arrests were carried out properly under existing treaty obligations. The Crown Prosecution Service says its newly filed charges follow a thorough review of evidence submitted by Bedfordshire Police. McBride, for his part, continues to insist that his clients are innocent and that they will ultimately be cleared. It is also worth explaining how the American extradition process actually works, since it will shape the coming weeks. After today's initial appearance, the case moves to a certification hearing before a U.S. district judge, who will examine whether the evidence supports the charges and whether the request meets the terms of the U.S.-UK extradition treaty. If the judge certifies the request, the final decision on whether to actually surrender the brothers to British custody rests with the U.S. Secretary of State, not with the courts. Defendants can challenge that decision through a habeas corpus petition, a process that has, in other high-profile cases, added months or even years before a case is finally resolved. The arrest also lands at a moment when the Tate brothers have been trying to expand their public profile in the United States. Andrew Tate was photographed attending a UFC event alongside President Trump in Miami earlier this year, part of a broader effort by the brothers to position themselves within American conservative and combat sports circles after leaving Romania. That rising profile means today's court appearance is likely to be scrutinized far beyond the legal community, with both supporters and critics of the brothers watching closely for any sign of how the case will unfold. To summarize, Andrew and Tristan Tate are due in Miami federal court today for their first U.S. appearance since their Saturday arrest on an expanded UK extradition request that now totals 59 charges, including rape and sex trafficking allegations from 7 alleged victims. Today's hearing is only a procedural first step. The court decision on whether the brothers will actually be extradited to the United Kingdom remains weeks away, and even a successful certification would still leave the final call in the hands of the Secretary of State. This is very much a developing story, and we will keep following it as it moves through the federal court system.